So in the month of February, Jason Tatum has been on a roll. It seems like there's been a different attitude and approach to the games for Tatum right now. In the month of February, his points per game is at 29.8. His rebounds is at 7.2, and his assists per game is at 5.8. And January was a tough month for him, but he has bounced back tremendously. The Celtics have won 10 of the past 13 games. It seems like things have started to settle down after the tough stretch of going, I think, 11 and 10. They were just up and down. And part of it is just, when you're a champion, you go through the dog days of the NBA, and the players are starting to shoot better, like Derek White, Sam Hauser. But what has impressed me over these last three games with Jason Tatum, the first one was against the New York Knicks, and they didn't have Drew Holiday and they didn't have Kristaps Porzingis. It was a late scratch. And Tatum went out there, got 40 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. In that third quarter alone, when the Knicks got it to, I believe it was 3 points, Tatum just took over. 20 points in that third quarter and said enough is enough. And then against the Miami Heat, he started slow. I don't think he scored a basket in that first quarter. And then he picked it up in the second quarter. And then what happened in the third quarter? He had 20 more points, ended with 33, 8, and 2 assists. And again, you didn't have Drew Holiday, and you didn't have, I think, Jaylen Brown didn't play in that game either. So you're looking at it and you're going, yeah, Tatum has been rolling. And in the interview, they asked him, you guys are doing really well on the road. And he just said, yeah, that's great, but our fans deserve better at home. And I love that coming from your leader, because he realizes, look, we're great on the road, but we've lost, I believe, 10 home games this year. Inexcusable stuff. There's been games against like the Hawks where they should have won that game. They had lost to the Dallas Mavericks last week when they were shorthanded. So there's been some head scratching losses. So Tatum said, we got to turn this around because our fans pay all this money. So what happens in the first quarter against the Spurs? Tatum has 14 points. He ends with 32, 14, and 7. And what I love about Tatum right now is there seems to be a different mentality in his game. He's playing with more anger. He's acting like, I don't care anymore what you guys think of me. And if we get this Tatum the rest of the season, the Celtics are winning back-to-back championships, because people got to realize, I know Tatum can be inconsistent at times with his scoring. A lot of it comes down to just teams are either doubling him, he gets flustered, or he's settling for too many jump shots. And that can get in his head, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, he's 7 of 28. Why is he struggling out there? And teams are just frustrating him by doubling, being physical with him. He's not always matching that same energy. But lately, it just seems like Tatum has just said, you know what, enough is enough. I'm going to prove to you guys that I can carry this roster. Meanwhile, we can't forget that Jaylen Brown didn't play against the Heat, and he didn't play against the Spurs. And Drew Holiday has been out as well. So we see that Tatum can be a reliable number one option, no matter how people feel about him. I know there's a lot of people out there that say, well, Jayson Tatum is not a top 5 player, that Jayson Tatum, has a superstar roster, a super team out there. And if he wasn't with the Celtics, then he wouldn't be this good. When, in my opinion, you probably want to have Brad Stevens as your GM. I mean, you can ask Dallas Mavericks fans how they feel about Nico Harrison. I mean, he's been terrible for them. I'm sure they would trade Nico Harrison for Brad Stevens right now. There's just no doubt about that. So again, Tatum seems to be turning the corner, hopefully, because I'm telling you right now, if he goes through the rest of February, giving these types of numbers, and the Celtics are still rolling, they're winning a lot of basketball games, good luck in the playoffs, because I'm telling you right now, Tatum just needs to shoot well in the playoffs. You already know he can play make. He can rebound the basketball. But if he's giving you splits of, 27, 28 a night, and his shooting percentage has actually been good too. He's been, I think, 47% from the field and 40% from three. So Tatum has been hooping. And a lot of times people don't want to give him credit because they think he's corny, because he's, using quotes from former players or current players. And I was like, I don't care about the aura. I don't care about, he's got to have a certain personality. If you're winning basketball games and you're getting me deep in the playoffs, I want you on my team. Sure, you could be inconsistent at times, and we've seen that from Tatum. But when you need Tatum to step up and show out in huge basketball games, what happens? More often than not, he shows up when you need him. Against the Bucks in Game 6, against the Sixers in a crucial Game 7. In Game 6, where he was struggling, he had 15 points in those last 5 minutes to save Boston, made a lot of those shots over the MVP Joel Embiid. We forget all that. But again, I think a lot of this comes down to he plays for the Celtics. He has Brad Stevens as his GM, which I don't understand why people, act like Tatum is not good without these players around him when you need a good roster to win championships. Because on the flip side, fans are complaining that, oh, Luka doesn't have enough help. LeBron doesn't have enough help. Jokic doesn't have enough help. But then when Tatum has a good roster, people say, oh, you have this great GM. And people forget that when Tatum was drafted to Boston, Brad Stevens was once the coach for Jayson Tatum. He didn't get the GM role until 2021. He had no previous experience. He just got better at his job. So if you're mad that Tatum has a great roster, tell your GM to step up and put a competent roster around your star players. It's really that simple. So that whole analysis about, oh, he's a super team merchant. It's like, well, I mean, you need a really good roster to win championships. You need competent players to fit around your star guys. And I think if Tatum goes into the rest of the season with I don't care attitude, he was they asked him about Luka Doncic. He's like, okay, he's with the Lakers. I mean, I don't care. I'm a Boston Celtic fan. I love that energy from Tatum because if he keeps that up and continues this level of play, when we get to the playoffs, I'm telling you right now, Jayson Tatum gets another championship, another Finals MVP. What are you going to say about him? What is your argument then? I don't care about, oh, he has this GM, he has these players. He's executing and he's winning basketball games and he's winning championships. I think a lot of it comes down to he's on the Boston Celtics and everybody hates Boston. I get that. That's fine. But I think if he wasn't playing for Boston, if he was a team like the Miami Heat, the Thunder, the Knicks, I think he would be embraced more, in my opinion. I just think he's because he's on the Celtics. People don't want to give him enough credit. Do I think he should be in MVP conversations? No. Early on, he was looking good. Then he went through a slump. But I think if you can get his field goal percentage to like 50% from the field, he can shoot the ball well from three at like 37 to 40% for next year. And he continues through the regular season dominating like he is right now. The perspective will change. But hey, you get Finals MVP, you roll into next season with a great chance to win an MVP. But I think right now, Tatum just needs to focus on the rest of this year, get another championship, get a Finals MVP. And I think people will start changing their tune even more. I love what I'm seeing from Tatum. I love the way he just took over these games. That's the biggest thing I love about what happened in the Miami game, in the Knicks game. He just said, you know what? Enough is enough. I'm just going to slam the door shut. I love that mentality. And then against the Spurs, you come home, you tell your fans, like, we got to do better. And you're really holding the players accountable. And you set the example by just getting 14 points in the first quarter. Mind you, he's been struggling at times to start games where he's being a little unselfish at times. And I get that. You're trying to play to the system in Boston and getting Derek White involved, Porzingis with his paint touches. But I think what's important for Tatum going forward, and I saw this against the Knicks, play more inside out to begin the game. Get paint touches, whether you're driving to the hole and scoring or drawing free throws, or playmaking to get assists. That's when Tatum is at his best, if he's being aggressive. Because when I see him get the ball and he's just holding it too far away from the three-point line, like you see him right past half court and just sitting there for just a few extra seconds, I think he should play more in the middle of the paint, play in that area. And if guys want to double him, he'll pass it for an open three or a Luke Cornett in the dunker spot or Porzingis. And I think that will unlock things even more. I would love to see Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown get some drills in the offseason where Tatum can learn some more post game with Jaylen Brown. Because I'm telling you, Jaylen Brown gets going and he's bullying folks in the paint. You can't stop the guy. And Tatum has that capability. He just needs to work on it some more. But again, I love what I'm seeing in February. And again, the Celtics are 39-16. They're doing just fine. I know people freaked out and had some concerns. I had some concerns about, the home court stuff. Hopefully that continues to turn around after the All-Star break. But they're in a great spot. You're 39-16. Tatum's starting to heat up. And if he continues down this trend, good luck. Because if he's going to put these numbers in the playoffs, the Celtics are going back-to-back. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the performance of Jayson Tatum so far in the month of February. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one.